Good afternoon to all my students from WordsMaya and the ones who are interested. I have got few answers to be given for the questions sent by you all. It's my pleasure to give this answer. I'm the Chief Education Officer for WordsMaya. My name is Shilpa Shetty Sunamni. I would like to answer these few questions which have been already put up. Let's talk about grammar. Why is grammar important? Grammar is like a skeleton of a body. It's a structure for the construction further to be firm and a good foundation to be laid. If we do not have correct grammar understanding, we might not fill in the subject properly, as in even the sentence will not be structured correctly, and in the end, it might not sound grammatically correct, language correct, or probably not understood, as in what you want to express yourself with. So, grammar is a vital part of any language. With English, grammar has been simplified. It is not as tough as other languages to do, but the things that we have to note when we have to learn about grammar. First and foremost thing, it is the parts of speech. That includes the common terms, nouns, verbs, your adjectives, adverbs. Later, probably, you can even count on the figures of speech. But knowing the basics of grammar, you have to know the parts of speech very well. Here we go with the first question. This is asked by Hussein Haider Bukhari. How to make your writing look natural? I suppose you're talking about the language. How do you portray yourself properly when you make a sentence? Hussein, how do you make it look natural? Is when you do not use the content of your sentence from anybody else. No cut and paste. It should be right from your heart what you want to express. Making it more elaborative, creative, will enable you to express further. But how do you make it look natural is the way you use your words and how do you structure it grammatically correct. Second question is from Suman Prakash. If someone says howdy, what should be the response? Howdy was somewhere in between invented from 1820 to 1830, and it was more of a slang. What's the meaning of howdy? Is how do you do, or how do you A-Y-E. But that is a slang language and it means how do you do? Aap kaise hai? So you're supposed to answer, yes, I'm fine, I'm good. Howdy is a short form used. I hope, Suman, that's clear for you. Rishabh Shukla, his question is, how can I use correct word whenever we communicate generally in flow? We say typical words can't be understood by the person. Obviously, Rishabh, it's very important that when you communicate, the word communication will only be true to its point and understanding if whatever you speak is understood by the opposite person. If you understand your audience or the person who's opposite to you, talking, trying to understand your conversation, you have to understand the level of his understanding. Get down to the words of his understanding. Make it simplified if necessary, or else, however the person understands. In that level and in that communication, only then you have to structure a sentence and communicate. Alice Haywood Evers, her question is, I don't fully comprehend the tenses of verbs, especially present, past, future, progressive tense. If you go in details of understanding this, it would be nice to write, Alice, but to speak, you need to know very few things about it. Also, those who learn English to speak and write, there are two different things that you have to note. Writing is elaborately expressing yourself, but speaking is not that elaborate. You need to be very specific on your conversation topic. So when you're having a problem with grammar, so intense and it comes in conversation, you have to know verb value. What is the meaning of verbs? How many type of verbs are there? How many tenses are there in verbs? How are you using these kind of tenses? Specifically, the difference between regular and irregular verbs, verbs used in past, present, future. The gerund, which is very important, that is continuous tense with an ing verb. How and where would you use it? Obviously, it comes in present continuous tense. These are the simple things you have to note when you're having a conversation. In written English, you may go in details, but if you are happening to learn this way in your conversational English, in the depth of what you're asking a question in, I'm sure it'll be more confusing. So it's much better that you go in the flow with the simplified manner. Prasad Shankar Pawar, his question is, how can I improve my English vocabs and grammar? Most important thing, languages. May it be any language, but if you're talking about English specifically, you have to know that English here is our second language. Okay, first language is our mother tongue. So if you're learning this as a second language, the first thing that you have to develop is a listening skill for this particular language. Please have an environment around you where you tend to listen. If you are not speaking this language at home continuously, then make it a point to switch on the TV, watch a movie, listen to some songs in English, watch somebody talking in English very keenly, the way the person talks. It's because the pronunciation, the words that comes in around you, you have this feel of it. Okay, that's one. Secondly, for good vocabs, you need to read a lot. If you do not have the time to read a novel or something like that, please read the newspaper. It's very important. You have thousands of words coming across you. And also, you have the benefit of the newspaper having words related to the technical term of the situation. Like you have political words, you have economical words, you have entertainment words. You have words all related to the situation. It's very good feeling when you learn a word from the newspaper, find out the meaning, and utilize that in your conversation. There are a few more questions also by Hussein, who's asked this question is like, how to trick your examiner? Well, that's quite a negative word, the trick. You don't trick your examiner. If you trick your examiner, God forbid, you shouldn't be caught. But if you really want to impress, that's the positive word, impress your examiner, use the best language that you have, use the best vocab that you have to express yourself, elaborate it creatively, express it elaborately. That's the way you can really master your language. And I guess when you write in a very perfect language with good vocabs, anybody who's reading it gets impressed. Another question from him again. Best way to improve spellings. Spellings in English language doesn't sound the way it is written sometimes because they're related to your silent letters. English has a lot of silent letters. Some have reasons, majority of them, some do not. Spellings in British English has to be going through your sight every now and then. So reading would make them perfect. Listening to the pronunciation gets you also perfect. You have to have a correct pronunciation. So phonic sounds, if you come to know what is phonic sounds in English. Supposedly, if you're learning Hindi and Marathi, you have learned Hindi Marathi not through grammar first. You have learned the Barakhari, A, I, E, K, K, G, G, right? Exactly. But when you learned English, it was grammar. So obviously, phonic sounds are not known. A has so many sounds. I has so many sounds. You have to know every time an O is seen there, it is not an O sound. So you have to be clear about the phonetics of English. And then you can get it. That's possible if you read, listen, and also understand a little bit of phonetics from people who can speak correct English. Okay, so surrounding should be with English around. We have this many questions, and I hope it's answered quite your queries. I am glad that I got this opportunity to be with you. I hope whatever we have discussed right now could come to some help in your conversation. Basically, if you want to impress somebody into communication and with your ability to communicate, it's very important that language may not be flowery, but language has to be understood by the opponent. And also, the person who writes across to you, his level of understanding should be known to you first. Only then you can communicate with the right word. Please keep learning this language. It is a simple one compared to other languages in India, which has much rigid impact on us. English is simpler comparatively, and it can be even heard and learned easily. Thank you so much for the day. I hope you have a nice day.